Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is Marv Fikes Jr. This has become the podcast. How do you become anything you dream, you declare, you commit, and success is your next breath. My podcast doesn't have many bells and whistles, but some of my bells and whistles are not working, but the audio is working, so that's all that matters. So I have 3 questions that I'm going to pose. Didn't write anything down. Was thinking about it, meditating on it. So hopefully all my thoughts will be made available to me and I can help somebody out. So the 3 questions are: number 1, did you work on it? Number 2, are you considering too many people? And 3, are you letting the rules of the game, are you letting your knowledge of the rules of the game stop you? Okay, so I'll start with that last one. Are you letting the rules of the game stop you from getting after it? I'll tell you 3 separate stories and tell you how all these questions impact how we move forward, and I'll tell you how these stories kind of inspired me. So doing some work with my good friend DeAndre Head, who is a videographer, and his wife, so he and his wife, Kyra and DeAndre, they do have a videography business. So they do a lot of weddings and they do commercials. Anything that can be captured with the camera, they do it. And so we have this concept called Millionaire Minds. And Millionaire Minds is a one-size-fits-all manifesto to success, meaning we want to capture advice from people who have experienced success, people who are fulfilling their purpose, and we want to capture as many versions and stories of success so that and find a way to present them so that anybody who wants to be successful can see themselves being successful through someone else, right? So if you are a white kid, a black kid, an Asian kid, Arab American, Native American, Latinx, whether you are heterosexual, homosexual, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter what your economic status is, doesn't matter your social economic status, doesn't matter, where you come from, whether you're from the suburbs, whether you're from the rural area, whether you're from the city, it doesn't matter, right? We want to create content and create stories that someone can go on our website, look at, our content and see themselves and say, you know what, because they did it, I can do it. I found 3 people that look just like me. I found 3 people that have a similar story. If I take what they have done and apply it to me, considering we have the similar background, I can experience success too, right? So a one-size-fits-all manifesto to success. So he's telling me a story. So as we're working on this concept, we started at home first. So instead of going out and getting a bunch of other people, we decided to look at our own story and kind of let that be the launching pad for our storytelling. So he's telling me the story about how he got into videography, and he tells a story about how he was into technology and he was doing some music stuff, and things were kind of rocking and rolling, but sometimes not rocking and rolling, right? So the work was erratic, the return was erratic. Working hard, but every now and then you get something that comes back that's worth all the work, right? And he said he had a friend who, so he says in doing all this work, he and his wife had an idea. What if we not only provided the artist with the music or the production, but we also provided them with the visual? So we'll do a little bit of some sort of, low budget video so that they could be a one-stop shop. Not only can you come in here and get the audio, but we can also give you some visuals for your video if you don't have money to go out and get a major production team to capture music videos and all that other stuff. So as he's doing that, he's got a little camera and he put together some projects that someone else saw and was like, you know what, that's pretty good. is so good that I know somebody who's looking for a production team to do a commercial for them. I think you do a pretty good job considering what I've seen, considering what I've saw on this very, very low scale. So they introduced DeAndre and Kyra to this guy who owns a car dealership, and he says, listen, I need X, Y, and Z. You know, I need a video, I need a commercial, da 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 da. So DeAndre says, yeah, I could do that. Now, mind you, this guy is, because of the money that's involved, this guy's asking for quite a bit. But DeAndre, all he has is one little small camera. He doesn't really have a lot of equipment, but he tells the guy, I can do it anyway. So he does come forth and says, you know what? I can do it, but I don't have this equipment. So basically, he's saying like I'm experienced with working with this type of equipment. I just don't have it. You know, I was probably working. You know, I was working with some other entity that had it, so I'm experienced, but I don't have the equipment. Would you mind investing so that we can get the equipment? And I don't know if they rented it. The money he gave them was to rent it, or if it was to buy it. But nonetheless, the guy was so gracious and so confident in DeAndre's ability. He says, you know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and make sure you have access to the equipment. Now remember, I don't know if he bought the equipment for DeAndre or if he just rented it, but at the end of the day, he made sure that he had access to it. So DeAndre did not know how to operate the camera, right? So he said he locked himself up in a room. He looked on Google and he looked on YouTube. He looked up the equipment and he figured out how to, I'm sorry, yawning, it's early. He found out how to turn on the camera. He found out how to focus the camera, how to, you know, do whatever you do with the camera. I don't know anything about cameras. DeAndre could probably tell you, you know, 15, 20 different things you can do to a camera to kind of, you know, get it to capture, you know, whatever. So he says that he's locked himself in the room for 2 days, learns how to operate this piece of equipment. He said they go ahead, they do the job, and then that carries over to another job. He went from doing some sort of commercial to capturing a graduation. He said they go to downtown Detroit, they're in the casino, and they're capturing this major moment, you know, for this kid or whatever. And the rest is history. Now DeAndre does hundreds of weddings. DeAndre and Kyra, they do hundreds of weddings throughout the course of the year. But it started with DeAndre deciding that I'm going to figure this out, and I don't necessarily need to know all the rules of the game in order to get the job done. And that's called the growth mindset. The growth mindset says, regardless of what the job requires, regardless of what the requirements are to fulfill, to complete the obligation, I know I can learn them. I may not know all of them, but I can learn them. Now, somebody else may come across and be a little bit better at it, but I can still learn enough to be proficient. That's the growth mindset. The fixed mindset says, well, there's 10 requirements here. I only know 5 of them. I guess I'm done. I guess I don't fit the requirement. I guess I'm not eligible. Where somebody with the growth mindset says, okay, well, there's 10 requirements here. I know 5, but maybe that 5 gives me the foundation to learn that next 5. So his story is always remarkable to me because he didn't know all the rules of the game. He didn't even know how to operate the computer, but he knew we could figure it out. Now the missing, not the missing part, but the important part is he was already a tech guy. So he was already operating within his genius. So let's make sure that as we think about what we want to do and as we think about getting after it, always make sure that you're operating close to your genius. What's your genius level talent? What natural ability have you been getting that you can convert into a genius level skill? He was already into tech. Ever since when we were coming up, he was always into tech. He always had a computer, always looking up something on the computer, always into tech, always, you know, playing with this, playing with that, toying with this, toying with that. Even when we had our college, when we were in college, he always had the phones. He always had the latest phones and had the latest tech and phones and all that other stuff. He always liked that stuff. I don't think it was a little bit about status, but it was more so about like he just liked tech. So now when he was when he found himself in a situation where he had to figure some things out, it was easier because he was figuring things out in the world of tech. There's a world he knew a little bit, right? And that little bit was the 5 things he needed to know, or the foundation he needed to know to learn the other 5 things. So as I say, you don't always need to know the rules of the game in order to play. But we want to make sure that we want to make sure that we're somewhat familiar with something. Okay? Because that will allow you to kind of connect some dots and make some sense of some things, and then you can get after it. But if you are saying to yourself, the only way I can play is if I know all the rules of the game, you may limit your opportunities. You may limit your opportunities, and 2, there's something to being fast. There's something to being efficient. There's something to being quick, right? So I can learn all the rules of the game, but how long is that going to take? Is there any room for me to learn a little bit and then just get after it? Can I just learn a little bit and get after it? Because if I can learn a little bit, get after it, and learn on the fly, okay, cool. At least I'm competing. At least I'm running with the bulls. I'm not just sitting back and watching. At least I'm being competitive. I'm not just watching. Open gym is 2 hours long. If I want to know everybody out there, learn all the personnel, learn everybody's strengths and weaknesses, and then go out there and play, I might give myself 20 minutes to play an open gym. At some point, I know I can hoop. I know this guy can shoot a little bit. I know this guy can dribble a little bit. All right, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna pick 2 other guys that make sense, and I'm gonna go out there and play. I want to play this for as long as I can. I want to get as much activity in. I want to get as many repetitions as I possibly can. I want to learn as much as I possibly can. I want to grow as much as I possibly can. I want to be active. I want to compete. So I can't worry about what knowing everything. I just got to, at some point, I just got to go out there and get after it. So is your knowledge of the game stopping you from playing? I know I probably posed the question a little bit different. My second question is, are you considering too many people? This one is real simple. Talking with my main man, JP, my mentor, we did a podcast sometime last week. I forget what day I posted it, but we were asking this question. We weren't asking the question. We were talking about we were talking about someone. We were having a conversation about someone, not a bad way, just talking about someone, and the conversation went from are we considering too many people, and when we consider too many people, how does that impact our work? And so it boiled down to, you got your closest people that you got to consider, right? Your closest people that you have to consider. Then you have another layer, and then after that, everybody else is, you deal with them when you have to. So for me, my first layer of people that I have to consider, that I have to invest in, is a small circle. It's my mother, my father, my wife, my 3 children. Then there's a second layer. That second layer is friends. Bottom line, friends. People that I care about, people that if they need my help, I'm there. My friends. And then everybody else is the people that I deal with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, people that I see consistently, right? I may know their kids, I may know their family, I may know their spouses, I may know their story, you know what I'm saying? I may have a good time with them, but I mean, there's levels to this thing. It's like, who are you investing in? It's like the first 2 levels is who I have to invest in. The third level, that investment is going to be circumstantial. That's going to depend on some other things, right? But the things that's most important is, am I taking care of that my immediate family? Family can be people who are related to you and people who are not. Then it's that second layer of friends, people who are really, really, and look, that second layer could be family too. And that first layer could be some people who are not in your family. But there's a level of understanding and closeness and commitment and availability that determines who's in that first group. You know, because you may have some people in your family who are family, you love them, but they're not always available. But then you have those other people that are consciously, intentionally making themselves available to you all the time, whether it's through physical, like you know, they're physically present, or they're calling you. They're there when you need them, right? They're there when you need them, and on a multitude of levels. You got to invest in them, and then you have your friends. I got some friends that I don't talk to for months, but man, when we connect, you know, the love is still there, the consideration is still there, the willingness to help is still there, the caring, the loving is still there. You know, you at some point you invested in one another on such a deep level that it was able to stand the test of time. So even though you don't talk to them a lot, you still have their heart, you still have their mind. That's where we need to be. And then we need to save all the rest of that energy for ourselves. So we set aside a small fraction of our energy and our mind power, our consideration, our love, all of that. We set a small portion of that for a small portion of people in our lives, and for the rest of that energy, we reserve it for ourselves, and we use that energy to care for ourselves, to listen to ourselves, to help ourselves, to heal ourselves, to exercise our genius level talent, to invest in our passion, to exercise our purpose in life, to master the things that are going to help us to help other people, to master ourselves, to master our emotions, to master our intellect, to master our skills. But instead, it's the opposite. Most people invest so much of their time into other people, into other things, invest so many of their time into other people that, 1 second. So many people invest so much of their energy into other people that they have nothing left for themselves. You know, it's like 80-20. Instead of getting 20 to everybody else, 80 to yourself, they give 80 to everyone else. They save 20 for themselves. And it's not enough. And that's how people become anxious. That's how people become depressed. That's how people become, stressed out. You know, that's how people develop, poor mental health. You didn't even have poor mental health. You developed it. All because you were more concerned with everyone else around you and less concerned with yourself. And at the end of the day, you should be more concerned with yourself and less concerned with everyone else. You got this small group of people that you're going to take care of, and then everybody else is circumstantial. You deal with them when you have to. That sounds rude. That sounds bad. That sounds whatever. Well, okay. You keep on investing in everybody else and not giving yourself the proper care and consideration you need. And let me know how you feel in the next few years, the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, so on and so forth. So I ask you this question: Are you considering too many people? It's possible that you are, and it's possible that could be holding you back. The last question is, are you working on it? I wanted to say, are you trying? But if you heard me before, you know that I don't like the word trying, because trying leads to failure. Nobody says, hey, man, we tried to beat that team, man, and we won. 9 times out of 10, you say, man, we tried to beat that team, but they were too strong. They were too good. They were too athletic, right? So I always say, you're working on it. Working on it is, you can always be a work in progress. You can always be working on it, right? Leslie Odom Jr. is a singer, actor. He was in Rent, and he was also in I think, what do we call it, like a stage phenomenon, Hamilton. And he has a LP out. He also has this really, really cool commercial out for Nationwide. And I heard him singing on that, and I was like, man, that guy's voice is amazing. And so I went and found some music on him, and now he has maybe like a 10 track LP, something like that. Really, really cool music. It's jazz, but he's got a very soulful voice. But I enjoy his music. So he was on the Steve Colbert Show, and he came out with a book called, I think, Failing Up. And he talks about this story about doing Rent, which Rent was another on-stage phenomenon, and he did it at 17. So that's his foundation. He does Rent at 17. Okay, so he's nationwide recognition. Now, Rent was a while ago, but that's when you have something that's significant on your resume, you would assume that person is kind of set for life, right? So he's doing Rent, and Rent happens, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. Maybe less than that, but maybe 12 years ago. And so now he's somewhere in his 30s or whatever, and he's trying to figure it out. Now, this is before Hamilton took place. And so he's got a mentor / actor coach / life coach in LA. And he goes to his mentor and he says, I think I just want a job. I think I just want to play check on Thursdays. Like, I don't want to wonder where my money's coming in. Where is it coming from? How much it's going to be. He says, I just want to pay my bills. I just want to pay my bills consistently. I just want to take care of responsibilities consistently, right? I want to raise a family. There's some things I want to do that require money and that require consistent money and an understanding of and predictability as it relates to money. And his mentor says, I'll let you quit once you've tried. Now, again, that's why the tried, it's a part of the story, but I put in, I like to say, I'll let you quit after you've worked on it. And so Leslie Odom says, tried? What do you mean tried? I have been trying. I have been, working. What do you mean? And so the guy says, okay, it's easy to try or to work on it when the opportunities are coming in. So someone says there's an opportunity on deck, you need to study this, you need to learn this, you need to rehearse this, right? And then when the work comes in, it's even easier now to work for it. Okay, now you got the part, you got the job, you got the opportunity. It's easy to work on it. He says, but how do you work when the opportunities aren't coming in? So when the phone isn't ringing, when there's no emails popping up, there's nothing coming in your DMs, all of that jazz, how are you working for it? How are you getting after it? And so he said, he says, are you reading? Are you rehearsing? Are you studying? Are you taking an acting class? Are you taking a singing class? Are you taking some sort of course to develop you in some other dimension or some sort of part of your, being as it relates to the work you want to do? And so he says from there, he started going to coffee shops. He says this, his mentor said, there's coffee shops all over LA who would love for you to come in and sing during their lunch hour. Give that cafe or that restaurant a little added, entertainment and texture, So Leslie Odom Jr. gets his band, he gets some people, and he said, let's just start doing this. He said, start singing, and I don't know how that led to Hamilton, but Hamilton nationwide was national, ad campaign, right? You see this commercial every other, like 3 or 4 times per telecast, right? And then he has a LP, and he has got videos out, and I think he might be set. Still got to work for it, but I think he might be set now. So I asked you, are you working on it? It was cool to hear that story because I thought to myself, am I working on it? When my phone doesn't ring, am I working on it? And I thought to myself, yeah. The podcasts are not every day, but consistent. I try to pump out, I work to pump out about 4 or 5 a week podcasts. On Sundays, I do a live Facebook video of me training, right? Training kids. Sometimes I capture myself training. Sometimes I capture me training the kids. So that's content that you get from a basketball standpoint. I post Instagram video probably once a day, sometimes multiple times per day. but I'm not reposting stuff. I'm not reposting somebody else's stuff. It's most of my stuff, I would say 98% of my content is all original content, right? So looking for something to post, looking for something meaty, something good to post. About 2 days a week, I post live vlogs. So I get in front of the computer or the camera and I go for about, 10, 15, put out something that I think is quality. And now I'm taking, I'm doing voiceovers, taking footage and creating stories, taking footage, chopping it up, editing, creating narratives and stories, and then doing a voiceover to kind of tell the story, finding the music to kind of put on it. So that's that. And not to mention, obviously I get after the opportunities that I get, when I do a lot of practicing in the car. I'm practicing speeches. I'm practicing portions of my speech. I'm practicing being interviewed. I'm always practicing something verbally, I don't know when my opportunity is going to get on stage is going to happen. So I'm always working on it through social media to continue to post stuff so I can continue to get my reps up, so I can stay sharp, so I can stay ready. So that moment when somebody asks me, what's your purpose? What do you talk about? What do you do? I'm ready. So that's the way I work. That's how I work on it. My phone's not ringing. That's how I work on it. I'm also sending information out, talking to people, working to get in people's doors and tell them I got something that you have to experience. It's amazing. So those are my 3 questions. As you start thinking about what it is you want to do in life and you want to fulfill your purpose and you want to work a certain type of work that doesn't feel like work. It feels more fun than it does work. I ask you 3 questions. Number 1, are you letting the rules of the game stop you from playing? Are you letting the knowledge of the rules of the game stop you from playing? Do you have to know all the rules in order to play? Because if that's the case, you're in trouble. You're going to miss out on an opportunity to compete. The second question is, are you considering too many people? Stop considering stop considering everybody. Just figure out this first layer of people that you got to consider, and then that second layer and that third layer, let them guys be circumstantial, man. Deal with them when you have to. But give 30, 70, 80, 20. But you take the bigger percentage. You take the bigger percentage. Now, when you become a family man, a family woman, and you have a family, okay, you can adjust those numbers a little bit, but you still need to make sure you're taking care of yourself on a large scale. And there'll be times when your family members get sick. Okay, cool. Up the ante a little bit. Maybe make it 50-50, but you still got to take care of yourself. Because there's somebody out there taking care of somebody who's sick, and they're giving so much of themselves that they become sickly as well. And it might not be sickly in terms of bedridden, but it might be sickly in terms of I'm now depressed. Now I'm stressed out. Now I have no control over my emotions because I didn't take care of myself the way I was supposed to. So find that balance between taking care of every people and then taking care of yourself. And then the last thing is, are you working on it? Are you working on it? When that phone doesn't ring, are you working on it? Are you finding a way to volunteer? My mentor JP says, if you want to get into a room, if you want a job, go mentor for the job you want. Go mentor for the job you want. Go volunteer for the job you want. If you want this job really, really bad and you can't get into it, fine. I'll just volunteer. I'll volunteer and shadow somebody. And I guarantee you things will work out for you. I've heard very few stories where someone wanted to be in a room, wanted a job, they volunteered, and it didn't work out. Because even if you volunteer, you don't get that job, you might get the job that leads you to the job that you want. But it all started because you volunteered. You show somebody your work ethic. You show somebody your commitment. You show somebody your ability to think. You show somebody your ability to work, to start a job, complete a job. You show somebody your personality. You show somebody your humor, your charm. You said, man, how can we not find a way for this person to be a part of our gig? And maybe that person says, you know what? I can't hire you because I'm full to capacity, right? Our budget won't allow for anybody else, but I know 3 people that would love to have you. Sometimes they might be in the city. Sometimes it might be out of the city. It might be out of the state. Who knows? It might be out of the country. But if you want it bad enough, you'll take it, you know? So that's it, man. I'm done. Hope this all made sense, and I hope somebody's able to move forward in life because of the information. So listen to this thing. Greatness lives on the edge of death. I am not afraid to die. I will fight for my dreams. I will celebrate my dreams, and I will die for my dreams. Thoughts are things, and everything starts off as a thought first and springs from a place in mindfulness and clarity. My name is Marv Fikes Jr. You got some things to think about this morning. Done.